Hello everyone! This is Riley Reedhead from reallyriley.org. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for watching. I'm so excited to share today's video with you. Today's video is all about reward systems. Yay! Before we dive into some of my reward system ideas, let's first talk about what is a reward system and why do we need it? A reward system is extrinsic motivation that encourages a student to participate in some kind of activity. So in this case, in our lessons. Why do we need a reward system? Well, obviously we're not sitting right next to our students, and sometimes it can be hard to listen to someone who's on a computer screen. So we include reward systems at VIPKid to encourage the student to participate, to listen, and to engage with the lesson. Reward systems are a valuable tool when teaching online especially. Now, VIPKid does their own reward systems, which they include in their lessons. I personally don't use the reward systems included in the lessons because they're a little too accessible to students. I find that especially my level 2 students where the reward slide is interactive, they go through that slide quick and then they're done with it and they're bored and they want to move on to the next thing. So I don't generally use that reward system. I usually use one that I can control a little bit more. They're still able to interact with it, but I have a little bit more control. And this helps them to be really motivated to participate into the lesson, to listen to my instructions, and to learn something new. If you would like to, go for it, use it. It's a great resource and it's always there. Also, VIPKid includes stars. So on the top left corner of your window when you're teaching, there'll be a plus and minus with little stars, and you can give the students stars throughout your lesson. We use stars for extra motivation for students because the students are allowed to buy things with those stars as they collect them. So it's a great extra motivation for the students to participate and earn these stars. So let's talk about when do you use a reward system. Most lessons are 25 to 30 slides long. That means for every 5 slides, you should be giving out 1 star or 1 reward. When I do my reward systems, I usually let them interact with the reward system, so they get something from the reward system, but they also get a star. So really they're getting 2 rewards instead of 1. But when I'm designing my own reward systems or I'm thinking about reward systems I want to use for my students, I ask myself 3 questions. The first one being, will my student enjoy this? Is this something that my student likes? Will they enjoy this? Is it fun? Is it engaging? Will they like it? The second question is this developmentally appropriate for my student? Some level 2 students have a lower language and comprehension than some other level 2 students, or same with level 3 or upper levels or even lower levels. So if I'm trying to explain my reward system to a student, will they understand it? Is there too much language in there? Is there too many instructions? I need to make sure that my student is going to understand, first of all, that my student is going to enjoy this reward system, and second, that my student is going to understand the concept. Are they going to be able to engage with it? If they don't understand it, they're not going to be able to engage with it, and it loses their interest. Number 3, is this realistic? Do I have the time to plan this out, to print out my props, to buy props, whatever I'm going to do? Is this realistic for me? Is it time-wise? Is it realistic for me and my student to complete this reward system during our lesson? Is my student going to enjoy this? Is this realistic? Is this something I could use in my classroom? So those are the 3 questions I ask myself. So really quickly, let's go through them again. 1, is my student going to enjoy this? 2, is it developmentally appropriate for my student? And 3, is this realistic for me and my student and my lesson and the time that I have to teach? So the first thing I do after I ask myself these 3 questions is I do student research. We have a guest for our video. Don't mind him. This is my son Noah, and he is the joy. He is my reason for doing everything in life. I love this little boy with all my heart. He's the reason I do this job. I love my job because I have the opportunity to work from home and to make the world a better place and to help other people, but I can also stay home with my son. So I love this job so much. So when I'm doing student research, I like to think about a few things. So first, is this a new student or is this a return student? What do I know about this student already if it is a return student? If I don't know anything about my new student, I like to go through this process. So on your VIPKid teacher app, you can click on the lesson. So this is my student Mia. You can click on the lesson. At the top, it has lesson info. It also has student info. So I will click on student info, and I like to scroll down to previous tips. This is really important to me because I get to see what other teachers have said about my student. So I look at previous tips. This is a great resource because other teachers will comment about your student. Sometimes they will include in their description the reward systems that they've used. So you know what has previously been used, or some teachers who teach a regular student and maybe they're just coming to see you for a lesson, maybe their teacher's out of town or something came up, maybe they use the same reward system. So maybe you could use the same reward system, or you can base your own reward system off of previous reward systems. So let's look at Mia. I go to previous other teacher tips and I just read through this. So I see that some other teachers have used the pizza reward. We have an ice cream reward. I also have noticed that she needs extension. So even though she's a level 2 student, I can extend a little bit with my reward system because she will understand more. I also can look at my previous tips, which I have taught Mia before. Whoops. I've taught Mia before, so I know that she likes Hello Kitty. So I could do a Hello Kitty reward like I did last time, or I could use one of the other reward system ideas that I found on previous teacher tips. So after I've gone through all these steps and you say, what if I can't find any new? What if I can't find any information? What if my student is brand new? Maybe they haven't taken very many classes, so they haven't had very many teachers. Or maybe teachers haven't included their reward systems that they've done. Or what if the reward systems were a flop? What if their students didn't enjoy them? I generally will go with one of my reward systems that I know works. I've been doing this a little while, so I know that there are several reward systems that are generally popular among most students. So if you have a reward system that you know works, use that for your new students. And if it doesn't work, you know that next time you have to try something else. And that's okay. Sometimes your student is not going to be totally engaged with your reward system, but that is where you can do some other things with the lesson, asking them questions, using props and different things to get their engagement and to help them to engage with the lesson. So let's talk about my reward systems. So some of my top reward systems include number 1, for upper or lower levels, is find a star. So as I said in previous videos, I've made all these numbers. I actually drew these numbers out and then I laminated them. And with find a star, you can do that. You can actually just do find a star. On the back of my numbers, this one doesn't have a star. Normally I will have stars on the back of my numbers. So stars like this. So this is find a star. Maybe I have my students actually find the stars. I like to change it up though, and I like to have my students find other things. So for some of my upper level students, I'll have them find basketballs, or maybe superheroes, or if it's a girl, I like to do Hello Kitty, or these Pusheen cats. I love these things. Or something like that, something I know they're really interested in. For my students that love Frozen, I printed off some Olafs, or maybe you could print off some Elsas and Annas. Maybe they find different characters like that. That's a great motivation for students that love Frozen. I do have a couple of those students. One of my students loves Hello Kitty, so I will do the find a star with the Hello Kitty, and I will hide 5 Hello Kitties under my numbers, and then she'll have to find them. Generally with that one, if she doesn't get it on the first try, I'll let her have a second chance. If we're running low on time, I'll move on and let her pick more in after the next 5 slides. But if we have a little time, I'll let her keep guessing until she finds that Hello Kitty. So find a star is definitely one of my most used reward systems. Another reward system that I have used a lot that I know works, you can do it with girls, but I generally do it with boys. So I will draw a little outline of a body like this, and then I have printed off different body parts. So for example, I have some different color ears, so different lengths. I also have some small ears, but my son stole those, so I don't know where theirs are. I have noses, so big and small. I have different eyes, so here's some silly eyes, here's some angry eyes. I have different hands and arms, different mouths, so a scary smile and a happy smile. And then I generally print off more, and I can switch them out every once in a while. Now, I only go with 2 options at a time, especially for my younger students, so it doesn't overwhelm them. And then they just have 2. So I can say, would you like a small nose or a big nose? This reward system is also great if your students are learning about parts of the body, or parts of the face. So you can talk about noses and eyes and mouths and ears, and it's all part of the curriculum too. So make your reward systems do double duty. They can help you review concepts that you're learning in your lessons, but they can also help you to they can also help engage your students as well. So I know a lot of my boys love that one. Some of my girls too. You could also do different things, like you could do hats. I also have some hats that I put on here. Maybe you could do girly lips or girly eyes or different things like that, so you can make it more girl friendly. I don't know, some girls like monsters, but in general, most of my students that are girls, they're not a huge fan of this one. But that is also a great one if it's boys, so I know that's a great one to use. So we've done find a star, build a monster. You can also do, and I have included a lot of props. Do you like watching my son just destroy my classroom? It's just a daily thing. All right, some other reward systems that I commonly use are actually on my phone. Yeah, star. You found a star, great job. So some other reward systems that I find work very well with my students are reward systems on my phone. And the great thing about these is I can just pull them up really quickly. I don't have to gather my props or find them because he often runs away with some of them. And so it's just easy for me to pull these up right away. I don't have to do a ton of planning. And so it's great. So one that really works for my girls is this Build a Princess reward. So they can actually build a fairy, a mermaid, a princess, or a pet. So they can choose. If it is a lower level student, maybe that's too many options. So I just say, we're going to build a princess today, or we're going to build a pet today, something like that. And the reward is great because you get to choose like hair color and eye color, a dress, some accessories. Just remember that you want to keep it around 5 things, because every 5 slides you're going to be doing this, and by 5 slides they've earned 5 stars, so they may not be interested anymore, or maybe they are, maybe they're too interested, so you go overtime. So just make sure that you pick 5 things. Another one that a lot of my students like, both girls and boys, is this Build a Pizza reward. So Babadoo, I guess that's how you say it, Build a Pizza. Pizza maker. This one is absolutely probably the most loved reward system by both my girls and my boys students. You're choosing the shape of your pizza, you're choosing fruits, vegetables, meats, fish, and then obviously you get to bake your pizza as well. And it bakes it right there on the screen, you know. And this one is very, very popular. My students love this reward system. And often when the pizza is baking, I'll sing a baking song. So bake, 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 bake. Bake, 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 bake. And then at the end, I'll try to eat the pizza from my phone, and obviously it doesn't work. And the students get a big kick out of that. So these are just some of the reward systems that I use on a daily basis. In fact, this morning I taught 4 classes, and I was really nervous about it for some reason, making sure that these new students and return students really were engaged with the reward system. And so I wrote it down. I did, for my older student, I did the pizza reward. For my second student, actually twins, I taught twins today. That was interesting. But for them, I did the Build a Monster reward, and I actually enjoyed that. So again, some girls like it, some girls don't. For one of my upper level girl students, we did the Princess reward. She really enjoyed that one. She built a mermaid, which she loves to do. And then for my absolute regular student, I teach her all the time. We had to get a little creative. I was going to do a princess reward, but she wasn't really feeling that today. So we did a reward that she kind of came up with on her own, where she earned these dollars, which is a great reward system as well. If your students come up with it, definitely use it. I also had a regular student a few months back. She moved on out of my level, so I don't get to see her anymore, but she loved to draw. So we would draw different animals, just different kinds of things. And that really engaged her because that was something that she loved to do. Now with every reward system, you have to watch your time. It may be really engaging, really fun for the student, and that's great. That's our purpose. We want to get students engaged and excited about coming to class. but we also have a lesson to get through, and their parents are expecting them to get through this lesson and to learn something from it. So we have to make sure that while it's engaging and it's fun, it also is serving a purpose. So we need to be able to use it to get through our lesson and help the students have a good time. So just keep that in mind. So with reward systems, remember, make them fun, make them creative, use something that your students like. Remember to do a little student research so that you can make that process of finding a reward system for your students easier. And just remember to have fun with it. Be creative and realize that sometimes your reward systems are going to flop. Maybe your student's not going to love them, and that's okay. As long as you're trying and you're doing your best, remember that your reward systems are really fun, especially if you get into them. All right, everyone, that is the end of my video today. Thank you so much for watching my channel. Thank you for letting my little guest join us today. Can you say hi, Noah? Yeah, again, like I said, he's the reason that I do all of this. I love this little boy. Thank you again for watching, and I hope that you'll tune in next week for my next video, which is a surprise. If you have any questions, any comments, or you'd like help with the application process, please see my email in the description box below. I'd be happy to help in any way that I can, especially with reward systems, which I very much love. There are so many out there, so get creative, get lots of ideas from lots of different teachers. There's so many good things out there. Otherwise, don't be afraid to email me and we can come up with some reward systems together. Thank you once again, everyone, and I will see you next week. Remember, you can do great things if you set your mind to it. Bye! Say bye!
Bye.